October 8, 2022, 06:07 a.m. Moscow time. A massive explosion tears through the Kerch Strait Bridge. Flames engulf a fuel train. Road sections collapse into the water below. Russia's most strategic connection to Crimea burns. This is Sea Doctrine, where one bridge controls an entire theater. The Kerch Strait Bridge, 19 kilometers of concrete and steel, connects mainland Russia to occupied Crimea. Construction cost $3.7 billion. Opened in 2018 as Putin's signature project, designed to be indestructible until it wasn't. The blast occurs on the roadway section. A truck explosion, according to Russian authorities. 3 people killed. Significant structural damage to both road and rail spans. The rail bridge catches fire from a passing fuel train. Flames reach 50 meters high, visible from both shorelines. Emergency services respond within minutes, but the damage is catastrophic. 2 road spans collapse completely. Rail operations halt indefinitely. Traffic stops in both directions. Crimea's primary supply artery severs. 1C, gateway to Russia's south. Would you risk depending on a single bridge? The strategic implications detonate faster than the explosion itself. KerchBridge carried 80% of military supplies to Crimea, approximately 14,000 rail cars monthly. Fuel, ammunition, equipment, reinforcements, everything Russian forces need flows across this span. Alternative routes exist but carry massive limitations. Ferry crossings across Kerch Strait, capacity 2,000 vehicles daily. The bridge handled 40,000. Sea transport through Turkish straits, subject to Montreux Convention restrictions. Land routes through occupied territories, exposed to Ukrainian strikes. None can replace the bridge's throughput. Sea Doctrine calculates the logistics nightmare. Russian military supply chain planning assumed bridge availability. Forward deployed units in Crimea and southern Ukraine depend on continuous resupply. Artillery ammunition consumption averages 60,000 rounds daily. Fuel requirements exceed 2 million liters per day. The bridge's closure creates immediate shortages. Within 72 hours, Russian operations show effects. Artillery fire rates decrease 40% in Kherson sector. Armored vehicle movements reduce significantly. Forward ammunition stockpiles deplete rapidly. Moscow scrambles to activate backup plans that barely exist. Who controls the Black Sea? A. Russia. B. Ukraine and NATO. C. Turkey holds the key. The Kremlin's reaction reveals the crisis severity. Emergency meetings convene within hours. FSB launches immediate investigation. Putin personally chairs National Security Council session. Official narrative shifts repeatedly. First, a truck bomb. Then, Ukrainian sabotage. Finally, terrorist attack requiring response. The inconsistency suggests genuine confusion. Someone struck Russia's most protected infrastructure, and Moscow didn't see it coming. Bridge security included 24-hour surveillance, armed guards at both ends, Coast Guard patrols in the strait, electronic monitoring systems, counter-sabotage teams. Total security cost exceeded $50 million annually, yet the attack succeeded. Questions multiply faster than answers. How did explosives reach the bridge? Who planned the operation? What intelligence failures allowed this? Each question undermines Russian security credibility. Sea Doctrine examines the tactical sophistication. Bridge structural analysis suggests underwater charges, divers or submersible delivery systems, precise placement to maximize damage, expert execution of complex special operation. Ukrainian officials neither confirm nor deny involvement, but celebrate openly. Social media fills with memes. Bridge collapse images trend globally. The message clear even without direct admission: Russian strategic infrastructure remains vulnerable. Maritime traffic through Kerch Strait faces immediate disruption. Commercial vessels waiting for bridge repairs. Fishing operations suspended around damaged sections. Navigation hazards from fallen debris. Insurance premiums spike 300% for strait transits. The economic impact radiates outward. Crimean civilian population faces supply shortages. Food prices increase 25% within 2 weeks. Fuel availability becomes uncertain. Consumer goods deliveries delay indefinitely. The peninsula's economic lifeline cut. Russian reconstruction efforts begin immediately. Engineers assess structural integrity. Repair equipment mobilizes from across Russia. Timeline estimates vary from 6 months to 2 years. The urgency drives 24-hour work schedules. But what happened to the Kerch Bridge shocked Russian strategic planners. The vulnerability of chokepoint infrastructure is suddenly undeniable. Every critical bridge, tunnel, and crossing now suspect. Russia's vast territory connected by relatively few key routes, each one potentially targetable. Defense spending priorities shift. Increased security for critical infrastructure, redundant supply routes development, enhanced surveillance systems, additional counter-sabotage forces. Costs multiply across the entire strategic network. BlackSea Doctrine tracks the broader implications. Modern warfare targets not just military forces but logistics networks. Supply chains become primary objectives. Infrastructure strikes deliver strategic effects without engaging enemy troops directly. The Kerch Bridge explosion exemplifies this approach perfectly. NATO analysts study the operation extensively. Technical execution, strategic timing, information operations. The attack demonstrates sophisticated capability. Questions arise about Western intelligence support. Did Ukrainian forces act independently, or did Allied reconnaissance enable the strike? The ambiguity serves Ukrainian interests. Russia must defend everywhere. Cannot determine which assets face imminent threat. The psychological warfare component proves as valuable as physical destruction. Trade routes, missiles, and war. BlackSea Doctrine examines chokepoint vulnerability. The Kerch Strait connects the Black Sea to the Sea of Azov. Shallow depth limits vessel size. Width restricts traffic flow. Geographic constraints create natural bottleneck. The bridge enhanced Russian control, enabled military reinforcement of Crimea, facilitated economic integration with mainland, symbolized permanent occupation. Its damage undermines all these objectives. Turkey monitors developments from the Bosphorus. Istanbul controls the only other access route to the Black Sea. Montreux Convention governs Straits passage. Warship transits face specific restrictions. The rules limit Russian naval reinforcement options. With the Kerch Bridge damaged, alternative supply routes gain importance, but Turkish straits cannot accommodate massive military traffic. Ankara maintains strict interpretation of Montreux provisions. Russia's access remains constrained. Regional military balance shifts subtly but significantly. Is this pushing NATO closer to direct involvement? Comment Y or N. Ukrainian success against Russian infrastructure raises escalation concerns. Moscow threatens retaliation. Missile strikes intensify against Ukrainian cities. Critical infrastructure targeted nationwide, power stations, water facilities, heating systems. The attacks aim to break civilian morale while military operations falter. NATO condemns Russian escalation but stops short of direct intervention, provides air defense systems to Ukraine, shares intelligence on missile launches, coordinates humanitarian aid delivery. The support increases incrementally with each Russian escalation. The line between indirect assistance and active participation blurs. Repair work on Kerch Bridge proceeds ahead of schedule. Road sections reopen partially by November 2022. Rail service restores limited capacity by December, full functionality projected for mid-2023, but vulnerability remains permanent. Russia invested billions creating this connection. Ukraine demonstrated ability to damage it with single strike. Cost-benefit analysis favors the attacker. Defensive measures cannot guarantee protection. Each repair creates new target. Black Sea Fleet adjusts operations accordingly. Increased reliance on sea transport through Kerch Strait. More vulnerable supply ships making regular runs. Greater exposure to Ukrainian anti-ship missiles. Naval escort requirements increase. Operational tempo decreases. The bridge attack cascades through entire Black Sea strategy. What breaks next? The grain deal, Turkish neutrality, or Russian deterrence? The Kerch Bridge explosion proves strategic infrastructure vulnerability, no matter how expensive, how well defended, how symbolically important. Determined attackers with sufficient capability can strike anywhere. This principle applies globally. Every nation with critical choke points reassesses security. Every military dependent on specific routes develops contingencies. Every strategic planner recalculates infrastructure risk. The Black Sea becomes a case study in modern vulnerability. Russian propaganda emphasized bridge strength, engineering achievement, unbreakable connection. Then video showed flames consuming their showcase project. Credibility collapses as quickly as bridge spans. Crimean residents face renewed uncertainty. Occupation seemed permanent with bridge connection. Now that permanence feels temporary. Psychological impact exceeds physical damage. Moscow's control appears less absolute, Ukrainian capability more impressive. The strategic narrative shifts with public perception. BlackSea Doctrine monitors the long-term effects. Bridge repairs cost additional $500 million. Security upgrades add another $200 million. Annual maintenance increases significantly. Total economic burden grows continuously. Meanwhile, Ukraine demonstrated repeatable capability, technical expertise to conduct complex operations, intelligence assets to identify vulnerabilities, operational security to achieve surprise, each element replicable against other targets. Russian strategic infrastructure throughout occupied territories now suspect. Every bridge carries heightened risk. Every tunnel could collapse. Every choke point might close. Defensive costs multiply infinitely, where Black Sea power decides everything. The Kerch Strait Bridge represented more than transportation infrastructure. It embodied Russian strategic commitment to Crimea, symbolized permanent occupation, enabled military dominance. Its partial destruction shattered these assumptions, revealed vulnerability at the heart of Russian Black Sea strategy, demonstrated Ukrainian reach into supposedly secure areas. The explosion echoes across every contested waterway, every strategic strait, every critical crossing. Infrastructure that seems invulnerable isn't. Defenses that appear comprehensive have gaps. Confidence in absolute security proves misplaced. Will the Kerch Bridge ever be truly secure? Can Russia adequately defend all critical infrastructure? Will Ukraine strike again when opportunity allows? Subscribe to BlackSea Doctrine, where Black Sea power decides everything.